Today, we explore how this date completely reshaped our world across five powerful dimensions: culture, education, finance, politics, and technology. This day proves that history never rests. Let's dive into the fascinating interconnected events of this date that continue to influence how we live, think, and innovate today. So, without much further ado, let's go.
So, what do the Beatles, a massive global stock crash, a presidential resignation, and the devastating Maui wildfires all have in common?
Well, they actually all share the exact same date, August 8th.
Right, August 8th. And today we're taking a magnifying glass to the single square on the calendar for our deep dive. We want to show you how pop culture, politics, finance, and, natural disasters can all just mysteriously collide on one seemingly random day.
Yeah, and if we start by zooming in on August 8th, 1969, we see this really fascinating clash between human intuition and heavy engineering.
Okay, lay it on me.
So at 11:30 a.m., the Beatles stepped into a crosswalk. They actually originally wanted to fly to Mount Everest for this photo shoot.
Wait, Mount Everest? Seriously?
Yeah, but they totally scrapped it. They spent maybe 10 minutes outside Abbey Road Studios instead and created arguably the most iconic album cover in history.
Just 10 minutes of hastily walking across the street.
Exactly.
But while they were doing that, the Wall Street Journal and New York Times were announcing a massive technological breakthrough, right? Bubble memory.
All right. Bell Labs introduced this tech using ferromagnetic materials. So think of it as using microscopic magnetic fields to store data so it wouldn't just disappear when the power was turned off.
Which sounds amazing, but I mean, I definitely don't have bubble memory in my smartphone today. Why did this highly engineered marvel just fade into obscurity?
Mostly because it got outpaced. The manufacturing was incredibly complex, and meanwhile, silicon chips started scaling up so rapidly and cheaply that bubble memory just couldn't compete economically.
Okay, so there's a pretty powerful lesson there. This massive engineering feat gets erased by cheaper silicon, but four guys walking across the street for 10 minutes create a cultural artifact that lasts forever. I guess simplicity actually won that day.
It really did.
Mm.
But as we transitioned from the cultural optimism of the 60s into the 70s and 80s, August 8th takes on a much heavier political weight.
Right?
Like on August 8, 1974, at 9:01 p.m., Richard Nixon delivered his resignation speech to avoid the Watergate impeachment.
And he famously framed that exit as putting, quote, the interest of America first. I have to say, though, I'm highly skeptical of that narrative. I mean, isn't that just a classic case of political rhetoric disguising self-preservation as patriotism?
Well, it's certainly a carefully managed, calculated exit.
Yeah.
But if you contrast Nixon's self-preservation with what happened exactly 14 years later on August 8, 1988, in Brima.
The 88 uprising.
Yes, protesters specifically chose that date because the number 8 is auspicious in Buddhism,
Right, and this wasn't some managed political exit. This was a really dangerous push for democracy against the BSPP, the Burma Socialist Program Party.
which was a harsh, military-backed authoritarian regime. The contrast is just striking. You have the genuine democratic euphoria of citizens risking everything on one side of the globe, while a U.S. president was quietly folding his hand on the other.
Wow.
Though, tragically, the Burmese uprising ended in brutal military suppression.
It seems like August 8th is a day where power just inevitably shifts. But it's not just governments falling, it's also about building structures and, well, occasionally breaking markets.
Very true.
Take August 8th, 1967. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, is founded to stabilize a region on the brink of war. But they didn't do it in a boardroom. They literally did it on a golf course.
Yeah, the famous sports shirt diplomacy. 5 foreign ministers essentially diffused massive geopolitical tension over 18 holes of golf.
Okay, I have to challenge this, though. Was that just a PR stunt? Like, how does hitting a golf ball actually solve international brinkmanship?
It's because rigid diplomatic protocol forces leaders to posture, right? They have to stay defensive. Golfing in short sleeves removed all that red tape.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the informal environment allowed them to discreetly test compromises and build actual interpersonal trust without the crazy pressure of a formal summit.
Wow. So bypassing protocol actually worked. Speaking of building institutions, let's jump to August 8th, 1980. President Jimmy Carter signed an executive order establishing the White House Initiative on HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities.
Right.
That wasn't just a symbolic gesture, was it?
Not at all. It structurally mandated that federal agencies channel significant financial resources and grants directly into these institutions. It permanently changed how minority-serving education was funded in the U.S.
But August 8th giveth, and August 8th taketh their way. Because on August 8th, 2011, Standard & Poor's S&P downgraded U.S. sovereign debt from AAA to AA+, the very first time in history.
Triggering Black Monday in the global markets. And this matters to you listening, because a sovereign downgrade directly impacts the interest rates on everyday mortgages, auto loans, retirement accounts.
Yeah.
It was just a massive shock to the global financial nervous system.
It's incredible how human choices, whether it's financial ratings, political policy, or even agriculture, have these massive ripple effects. Which, sadly, brings us to the devastating Maui wildfires on August 2023.
Yeah. This is where history literally becomes fuel. The fires, which tragically took 101 lives, were whipped up by winds from Hurricane Dora. But the actual mechanism behind the devastation was decades in the making.
Right, because of those invasive grasses like buffalo grass. But how did those even get there in the first place?
They were brought in during the 19th century by colonial sugarcane and pineapple plantations.
Oh.
And when those plantations were eventually abandoned, these invasive grasses aggressively took over the native ecosystems. They dried out the soil and created this vast, continuous tinderbox.
That is incredibly dark. So a 19th century agricultural business decision fundamentally altered the soil moisture of Maui, essentially setting a 100-year fuse that finally ignited on August 8th.
Exactly. August 8th is really a masterclass in how culture, politics, finance, and nature are intricately woven together across time.
It completely changes how you look at a calendar, which leaves you with this to ponder. Is August 8th truly an anomaly of history? Or if you applied this level of deep dive scrutiny to literally any random date on the calendar, would you uncover a similarly invisible web of world-changing events? Maybe every single day is just a crowded intersection just waiting for you to look closely.
Hi viewers, family and friends. How did you like the content of this video? Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please write in the comments your name and the place you are watching from. Since our viewing family is spread all over the world, it will be nice to know which city and the country you are watching from, so I can say hello to you. Science and technology. Reading and listening to the historical accomplishments on this date of those who have gone before us, I, as a professional engineer with interest in structural engineering, energy-efficient buildings, ICF construction, and as Google Docs expert with interest in spreadsheet-based solutions, draw inspiration to ask of myself the million-dollar question. What would I accomplish today? Think about the Japanese practice of Kaizen. Let me know in the comments. What would you accomplish today? Your subscribing to the channel inspires me to post more such videos. Thanks for your patronage. See you in the next video. Sincerely, Yogi Anand.